see each other succeed.
My computer career actually helped me set up my resume. So with that help, I was able to land a job within the first 4 months of attending school at my computer career.
A few weeks before graduation, though, I landed my first job as a Tier 1 technician with a large insurance company. And 6 months later, I was actually working as a Tier 2 technician with a significant pay raise. And kind of like my first job, they were also very impressed that I had so many certifications.
You have to look at what you want in life and where you're at. For me, my computer career was an easy choice because they offered me a better lifestyle that I really wanted, and it was the only place that would really give me that upper hand in life.
The folks at my computer career are very caring. They really care about our success in the IT industry, not just with certifications, but also with finding a career and really being happy with that choice.
Hello, IT enthusiasts. Welcome to another episode of My Computer Careers Get Into IT Live, where we do just that, get into all things IT. Even more appropriately, we're going to help you get into IT this week in this episode. We've kind of heard you loud and clear over the last few weeks, and what you're looking for is real advice, actionable tips on how you can find a gig in 25. And obviously, we've touched on this several times. It's our most popular topic. And especially now with the job search the way it is and the growing noise and every position seemingly having hundreds and hundreds of people aiming for that same spot. We wanted to jump in and kind of talk about how we can help you find a rewarding career. And we certainly have the right person that's going to join us today to help us unpack some of that, who's joined us before. And we're going to talk a little bit more about you in a second here, Todd. But Todd, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. Glad to be here today.
Absolutely. Todd's one of my favorite guests. It's always a good conversation. And he's hanging out down in Texas. Happy to join us on a busy Friday. So before we get into that, just a little bit of information that you all probably know. Patricia's out in the comments. So if you have questions, if you have anything you'd like to talk to Todd about around getting into your role, whether it's in IT or otherwise, he's certainly happy to help you. So drop them in. Patricia will share those, and we'll do our best to answer any of your questions. This always goes better when we have a lively chat session. Other than that, I think that we're going to be good. So Todd, let me give you the official intro. Todd Mankin is the Executive Director of CIBR Warriors. That's CIBR, folks. And what are we saying CIBR stands for, Todd?
Cyber Institute for Battle Readiness.
Okay. Where he leads the efforts connecting cybersecurity and networking professionals with employers nationwide. With over 20 years in IT recruiting, including over a decade at my computer career, Todd has helped thousands of candidates navigate the path from training to employment. Did we do you justice there, Todd?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no, that very good introduction. I appreciate that, and it is very true. I've actually now been in the industry. I guess call it human capital industry for 25, going on 26 years now, with various companies that were in the staffing space to working at MyCC, really around 12 years in the career services space and talent acquisition space, and working directly with not only students over there, but also folks that we were hiring, to come work as internal employees. So
you have done this for a minute, my friend. Quarter of a century is a long time. And you just took over recently as the Executive Director at CIBR Warriors. Obviously, you and I have talked, but congratulations on that. You mind just sharing, give the very quick version of who CIBR Warriors, what CIBR Warriors is?
Yeah, so CIBR Warriors is a full service staffing firm. What I mean by that is we work directly with folks, not only in the IT space, but some other core competencies as well. But our what we were formed to do, and the way that cyber came into existence was back years ago, working with my computer career. We were really good at helping students that were transitioning into IT and making that career change, right? Making that career change into IT. We were really good at finding those folks jobs. But we offered a lifetime service of career services. And so students that came through the program at the time were able to come back to career services 3 years, 5 years, 10 years later. And what we wanted to do was be able to support those folks that had become managers or architect level, in networking and things like that. Right. And so we thought that the best way to do that would be to actually also have a staffing piece of this that was working with clients that were looking for these high level folks. And so CIBR Warriors was formed on the principle of helping students, at the time to get to the next level in their career. Now, we don't just work with my computer career students. We work with everyone across the board now. Right. But we were formed, and the general principle on who we are is we're here to help not only students, but like I said, the general public find jobs working in technology.
Beautiful. Perfect. And Patricia just shared the link, so folks go check it out. So that's a perfect intro. Let's jump right in. We just talked about the fact that you've been doing this for just a minute, Todd, from tech systems to MyCC. Now you're leading CIBR Warriors. What drew you to this world? What keeps you in the recruiting industry, or as you said, the human capital industry after all these years?
Yeah, it's a funny story and a long story. I was not looking to get into a recruiting type of role, right? I worked for General Motors actually eons ago, and General Motors was partnered with ADP that had a processing platform that we were using for sales and service and body shop and things like that. And so I started dabbling in IT a little bit because they came out, trained me on this database, and I was the younger guy that was into technology a little bit. So I started training some of the service departments and some of the folks that worked specifically in the dealership that I was working in. And I went to a music festival one weekend and hung out and met some people and was networking, right? And met a guy, and he said, "Man, I think you'd be a great recruiter. You've got a little bit of, a technology background, but you're really good with people. I think you'd be a great recruiter." Yeah. And that was a gentleman that actually worked for Tech Systems, and one of my greatest competitors now, but worked for them. And I went and interviewed and loved the folks, loved what they were doing. And that was it. I got the job, and I immediately realized this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my career. So
awesome.
I love technology. I love people and working with people. I'll admit it's a little bit frustrating these days at times, but I love what I do, and it's been a great career thus far. So.
All right. So folks, I know you came for some specifics, and we are going to dive into those. So let's take a look at kind of the job search right now, and let's unpack a little bit of what you just said. You work with candidates at all levels, entry level, seasoned professionals, and everybody in between. What's the biggest mistake that you see? Let's talk about entry level. What's the biggest mistake that you see entry level IT candidates making when they're job hunting?
That's a great question. And I think about this regularly because when you're looking for a job, sense of urgency is number one, right? But there's also a lot of common sense that goes into it. One of the things that we see regularly is an entry-level individual that has a resume, right? A resume. And they use that resume to apply for everything that they find on Indeed or one of the job boards, right? And they just kind of blanket send out this resume to anything and everything that even remotely matches. That is the biggest mistake and the biggest pet peeve that I have is that folks do that without doing any kind of research, without doing any kind of tailoring to their resume, and just farm it out into the abyss and think that they're going to get that job without doing any sort of, like I said, research or reach out or connecting with a hiring authority. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot on this podcast today because it number one is take the initiative to reach out and make sure that you are tailoring not just your resume, but tailoring your mentality and what you're doing on a daily basis to finding the right job. Make finding a job a job. So
there's a couple of comments I want to get to here, but I will. But you're talking about the resume, and I want to jump right into this because you're in the sometimes unenviable position of having so many resumes laying there on your desk, Todd. You have to be the person that shuffles through all of those. Right. So when you're seeing hundreds of resumes a day, which I'm assuming you are, you're probably not going to have a long attention span to review those resumes. So in those first 10 seconds or first 15 seconds, what are you looking for in a resume? What catches your eye?
Yeah, and it's not even 10 seconds. You've got 6 or 7 seconds to get my attention. And what I'm looking for is those keywords. I'm looking for not necessarily what you want, but what my pain is as an employer. And I say this from the perspective of a hiring authority, not necessarily as a recruiter, right? I want to see what is going to fill those pain points on your resume. If I'm not seeing a great mentor of mine used to call it made, saved, achieved. And that's Scott Garfield.
Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't say that again. What did Scott say?
Made, saved, achieved.
Got it.
Right.
Yep.
And so there are things that you made money for the organization. You built something for an organization, right? You saved the company money. And what were those achievements along the way? What were some of the milestones and the things that you did to be a genuine asset to an organization? And so those are the things that we're looking for on a resume. That's the things that a hiring manager, a hiring authority wants to see is what are you going to do for me? But quite frankly, and no disrespect, but I don't really care about you at this point. I care about what you can do for me. Now, when I get you in front of me, I'm going to tell you about the perks to my organization and why we're a great place to work and how amazing the company culture is and things like that. But when I'm scanning a resume, most people take, you may have 6 or 7 seconds. With me, I've been doing this so long, I can literally speed read and read through a resume in 2 to 3 seconds.
So, folks, again, I always try to say if there's one thing you take away, I would say that's it. You got 6 or 7 seconds. You're literally hearing it from the voice of the recruiter who's looking at your resume. So Absolutely. That's why Todd's pushing to tailor your resume to the job. If it doesn't say right away why you're applying for this job and how you're going to help the organization, it sounds like he's going to have to move past it. And it's just the reality of the job search. Mr. 007, I want to make sure that I'm sharing your great message here. That's a great one. Of course, we're going to share that. Changed my life. Love to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing. And obviously, I see the note from the protagonist and need to make a move in 2026, worry about how to pay for this training. Talking specifically about MyCC, we have some great options. Go check out our financial aid page. We'd be happy to talk to you about it and walk you through that. But, hang around, listen to what Todd has to say. He'll help you in that process once you find the job or help you find the job that you're looking for.
Yep.
Okay. So speaking of IT, why don't we talk about certifications? After all, it's kind of our world, right?
Absolutely.
A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, on down the line. How much weight do those really carry with recruiters and hiring managers? Let's just unpack it. What's the honest truth, Todd?
Yeah, this is going to be a controversial piece, the most controversial piece to our talk today.
We're looking for sound bites, buddy.
Look, again, I've been doing this a very, very long time, and I can tell you right now that 9 times out of 10, certifications are going to get your foot in the door far before a degree is going to. If you are going through, I'm not saying college isn't a great thing. It absolutely is. But if you want to work in technology, your priority should be on these certifications, particularly on the infrastructure side or the cybersecurity side. If you want to get your foot in the door in technology, the A plus, the Net plus, the Security plus, the CISA, some of these certifications are the key to getting your foot in the door. And I am not just saying that. I absolutely 100% believe that. 4-year degree, it's over the years, so many times I have seen someone come out of a big university with a computer science degree, and they look for an IT role. They try and try and try. They land a few interviews, but they just are not able to get in the door. They come through a program like My Computer Career, gain a couple of certifications that prove that they have the skills to do the job, and then they're able to take that next step. And so if there were another huge piece of advice today that I think folks should take away from this, it is those certifications are going to be more valuable to most clients than that degree.
Yeah, Todd, I'd be remiss if I didn't say you're reiterating what a lot of our grads have said on this very program.
Yeah.
Mike Ramo joined us. He has a film degree, decided to go get those certs and go carve out a career in IT. I think we just met with Leon Bryant last week, has a degree, but needed certifications, wanted to go get a cert to get an apprenticeship, and then found his way into the world of IT. And I know that Aaron Bond as well, a few months ago, was having some difficulty finding the role that he really wanted, and realized he had to get various certs to get to that role, even though he had a degree. So yes, college is hugely important, folks. Go explore it if that's for you, but certifications are, and the trade route is something you should definitely look into. If traditional college isn't right for you.
Absolutely. When I was in career services, I treated it as a role where I was more a career coach than a recruiter or just someone who was telling people what they wanted to hear. And that was, if you want to get into IT in the short term and you have the bandwidth and the ability to go to school outside of that, the degree is going to help you get to an IT manager or an IT director or an architect level type of role. It's definitely going to help you in your career. I truly believe that. However, I think, again, to get your foot in the door, it's definitely more important to have those certifications.
Amen. All right, perfect. So let's be realistic here. There is an application black hole happening. And there are a number of frustrated people, and maybe even a number of frustrated people on this call or this podcast right now. To get your foot in the door, it's more important to have those certifications. Absolutely. People apply to 50. There are people watching right now, Todd, that apply to 50, 100, 200 jobs. They're hearing nothing back. And of course, that gets frustrating and that starts to wear on you. What's actually happening behind the scenes? Help them kind of unpack that. And how can those candidates figure out what's not working?
There are a few things that come to mind immediately. And one is exactly what we've already talked about, which, by the way, I wanted to say hi to Bruce. I saw Bruce pop in a while ago, one of my favorite people in the world. Hey, Bruce. Yeah. Hey, Bruce. But so I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that I can send out 100 resumes and it's all about quantity, not quality, right? And that could not be further from the truth. Again, if you are tailoring, let's just say you see a job description and it's you. You're like, oh my word, this is me. This is exactly what I've been looking for. I'm going to send my resume right now. That is one of the other biggest mistakes that candidates these days make, is that they are sending a resume into an abyss and have no idea where it's going. Reality is, if you're sending your resume, so are another 100, 120 applicants, right? For me as a recruiter to wade through, do you know how long it takes to wade through 120 applicants? I mean, that's a full day, sometimes worth of work. If I'm calling, 5 or 6 or 10 of those that look like they may be an actual fit. I had someone just this morning, actually, we have a job posted. and someone picked up the phone. I was blown away. And I'm so glad that this happened this morning, because I can talk about it on our show today. But she picked up the phone. She actually referenced my background at some of the companies that I had worked. And she actually said, I think that I'm a great fit for this role, and here's why. And I just thought, man, that does not happen enough. People do not, first of all, they don't. And she actually said, I actually added to my resume this, and this, because those were bullet points on the job description. Awesome. And I got to tell you, I haven't had time yet, but I'm going to submit her to a client this afternoon, because she took the initiative to reach out to me to do the research on my organization and me specifically. And guess what? She did my job for me. I don't have to go through 100 resumes now. Yep. She did my job for me. And I cannot tell you, every recruiter on my team, every recruiter I have ever worked with will tell you, if you do my job for me, if you pick up the phone and you call me and you say, hey, I'm a fit for this role, and here's why, and you legitimately are, you go to the very top of the list every single time.
So go ahead. Sorry.
What people are doing is sending resumes into the abyss, and that's exactly what it is. We will find you eventually, potentially, but if you take that initiative, you tailor your resume, you do some research on the company, and you find the hiring authority, which was me in this case. I'm the one that's going to bridge that gap between her and the client. I don't know a percentage. I don't have the data exactly in front of me, but the chance of you getting that opportunity, or at least me putting your hand in the hand of the manager, the hiring authority, is astronomical compared to you sending that through the abyss.
That is awesome advice. My follow-up was going to be, hey, you send your resume. Do you recommend reaching out to the hiring manager in some way? Obviously, that's the case. So, folks, even if, and I'm not to speak for you, Todd, but even if, let's say you can't find a phone number or can't call the person, you could always find an email address. You could always follow up on LinkedIn and send a note and say, hey, I've seen that myself from candidates. They've applied and then sent me a note directly and said, hey, I applied to this role. I'd love to talk about it. And I think that initiative certainly stands out.
One of the other things that I wanted to point out here was that she was an amazing candidate. She does have a great resume. It has all the stuff in it. But one of the other things I want to say is, today you see all of these artsy resumes that have her resume had this bar graph on it. It was really kind of strange. It was a graph that showed the timeline of her jobs, right? And I told her, I said, in 25 years, I've never seen a resume like this. And what I cautioned her on is a lot of the ATS systems that companies are using now are very, very much AI driven, which also means they're filtered, right?
Right.
So these fancy resumes with bar graphs and things on them, guess where her resume ended up? She sent it to me. I didn't see it. I was talking to her and I said, oh, hang on just a second, went to my spam folder, and that's where it was. Yep. And so I definitely caution you all as well to make your resume not only tailored to the job, but use a simple word format, particularly going through these ATS systems, or if you're emailing people, because again, her resume went straight into my spam folder. If she hadn't reached out to me, I wouldn't see it for weeks or maybe even months.
And we've had full episodes on AI for the job search. So at the very least, take that resume, plug it into whatever AI you use, and ask it to make it ATS friendly.
Absolutely.
And it will help you with that process. You don't have to use it to develop your resume. I love it.
I couldn't agree more.
We mentioned LinkedIn a little bit. Love it or hate it, folks. You have to be on LinkedIn. It's part of the game. At least I'm guessing you would agree with that. What should someone's profile actually look like if they want to get noticed by Todd Mankin?
Yeah. So as a career changer, sometimes you've got to get creative, right? Your LinkedIn profile should always obviously be very professional. This isn't Instagram or Facebook where you can you can have just any kind of picture and that kind of thing. A lot of companies are just using LinkedIn now. Matter of fact, I had a client not long ago that just said, "Hey, send me the LinkedIn profile. I don't care about the resume." And so your LinkedIn profile is as important as a resume these days. It needs to be professional. The picture, the headshot needs to be professional. But you definitely want to describe yourself in the profile, right? What you've done, the things that, let's just say, for instance, you maybe you waited tables, and then you decided to go through a program like My Computer Career. Well, what was some of the technology that you used? Did you use a handheld like you see at Chili's or some of the restaurants we go to today? That's a point of sale system, right? That system should be listed on your resume because you may be applying for a role that's supporting a POS system. And so dig out the technology and the things that you've touched, any kind of piece of technology that you've ever touched that you can speak to. Make sure that those are on your resume. Again, if I'm waiting tables or working in a restaurant and now I'm trying to get a network support role or a help desk role, well, let's talk a little bit about the technology that you are familiar with.
Yes, good. So again, folks, popular themes: find relevant skills.
Absolutely.
You have the skills. You may not realize it. Find relevant skills, plug them in to your profile and everywhere else. So that's what you're looking for, obviously, in LinkedIn is a connection to the roles that you would be applying for, if I'm hearing correctly.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. All right. Hey, by the way, Rick Yager, we saw you, buddy. Thanks for joining as always. Here's kind of a fun one. And I asked this question just because it blows me out. And I don't know how much you know about this, Todd, but we had this post on Instagram and it's got 600,000 views. It literally for us is going viral. The coffee cup test. Have you heard about the coffee cup test?
No, I have heard about the coffee cup test. Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
For those who don't know, the very short version is there are certain hiring managers or executives that when you're in person for an interview, you get a cup of coffee. They look to see what you do with that cup of coffee. Do you throw it away? Do you leave it where it is? Do you at least pick it up and try and take it somewhere? Because certain folks are judging character by what you do with that cup of coffee. Have you heard about this? What's your take on these kind of, I guess, informal assessments during the hiring process, like the coffee cup test?
All right. So again, maybe controversial, but I will say this. I have never bought into the social experiment side of what we do. And that's exactly what I think that is. It's a social experiment to me. I can't imagine basing someone's skills and whether or not they can do a job on if they took that cup of coffee to the trash can or back to the kitchen and put it in the sink and rinsed it out. I also heard about, and I've seen this in practice actually, a candidate will interview with a hiring authority. The hiring authority then walks the person to the front door and says, I'm going to go outside and catch some fresh air with you to see if they're going to open the door for them and things like that.
Yeah.
Again, I've never bought into the social experiment side of what we do. I base a candidate's ability to do the job on what they tell me they can do and what they've proven through their references and things like that. Look, we work in the people business and sometimes we get it wrong.
Right.
But for me to base, whether or not this is a good person for my culture off of whether or not they put the coffee cup back in the sink or in the dishwasher, yep. I'm sorry, but that's not me. And guess what? I also think that if companies are doing that, hey, to each their own, but that's probably, to me, probably not a company I want to get in. I want to get in with and I want to work for if they're doing that, if they're playing mind games in the very beginning like that.
That is very good to know. I'll just treat your waiters and waitresses right, folks, no matter where you are, by the way, especially if you're on a job interview. But it makes perfect sense, Todd, and it's good to hear that. And Rick, yeah, you're always being evaluated, love it or hate it. So there is a reality around that as well. But
I absolutely agree with that for sure. I mean, there are things that I'm going to look at and look forward during an interview.
Yeah.
And you know, the coffee cup test is again, it may work for some, but it's not something that I'm going to do.
Straight from the recruiter's mouth, folks. There you go. Thank you for clarifying that for us.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about green flags. You talk to a lot of folks. You've been doing it for a lot of years. What are the green flags that make you think this person's going to succeed in this role?
Well, so it starts with the initiative. It absolutely starts with what do you know about my company? If you come in and you can tell me that my organization is working with XYZ company and we've got 42 jobs posted on our job board right now, and you know my name and my background. If you can say all of those things to me and you show that you have a genuine interest in the organization, so you've done the research, you're able to talk about who we are and what we do. And you've taken the initiative to reach out. That's a big green flag for me. I'm all about somebody that has initiative. And today, sense of urgency is the second thing. If you've got a sense of urgency, if I ask you for an updated resume and it takes you 3 days to get that to me, you're not going to fit in my team. There's no way that I'm taking next steps with you. On the other hand, if I ask you for that and I've got it in my inbox before we even hang up the phone, that's the kind of person I'm looking for.
Excellent. Got it. All right. Concise answer, folks. Initiative. So important. So, you know, we talk green flags. I guess we got to talk red flags. You hit on a few of those here. Are there any red flags, any other red flags that you see that make you kind of pause on that candidate?
Yeah, you know, in the technology space, we've had to take some extra initiatives when we're screening folks, and particularly before we put them in front of our clients. We've actually seen that we can submit a resume of someone, and then we get to the interview phase, and it's a completely different person. You're seeing that. Matter of fact, I was talking to one of the recruiters on the team this morning, and he was telling me a story about a time when he had a candidate that was interviewing, and the hiring authority said, "Hey, do you have an earbud in? Is there something in your ear?" And the person was like, No. Why? Can you please take that earbud out just for this interview? And took it out and couldn't answer any more questions. Somebody was in his ear giving it. Yeah, absolutely. And so obviously that's a red flag. Other red flags are, like I just said, if I ask you for something and it takes you 2 or 3, we're all busy. Believe me, I understand that. If it takes you 2 or 3 days, though, to get me an updated resume, I'm sorry, but you're not moving forward. Right. I continue to preach that. And I have, after all of these years, what we call the recruiter gut. And if you don't follow that gut feeling, you fail almost 100% of the time. It is an intuition. It is something that somebody said or did in the interview phase. And for some reason, I went ahead because maybe it was a really hard role to fill. Right. Maybe the candidates were just few and far between. And I go ahead and I move forward. And it bites me almost every single time. And so, again, there are things that we do on a daily basis that judge those things. References are always great, but who's going to give a bad reference, right? If I ask you, Aaron, if you're interviewing with me and I say, hey, send me 3 references, you're not going to send me the guy that fired you last year. You're going to send me somebody on the team that that you've enjoyed hanging out with and you've gotten to know on a personal level, and that they're going to vouch for you. And so we do a lot of digging. We really dig in on social media is huge these days. You talked about LinkedIn earlier, but I'll tell you, as a recruiter and as a hiring authority, if I Google your name and I pull up 14 different social media pages and I see that you're not someone who wants to that I want to represent my company, I'm going to go off of that, and a lot of times it's kind of hard to it's hard to be that professional and have that visual all of the time, but at the same time, that's something that we definitely look at.
That's a huge piece of advice too, guys. Scrub your social media. You don't have anything on there that your mom wouldn't want to see.
Right.
I love it. So I think that we're at a point that, I always try and wrap these conversations with, a piece of advice. Walk out the door. Let's give some positivity. So one piece of advice, Todd, if you could give one piece of advice to someone watching right now who is frustrated, they're tired, ready to give up on this job search thing. I've submitted everywhere. I'm over it. I'm just going to go do something else. What would you tell them?
I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would bet that these people that the folks that are the most frustrated right now are also the people that are blanket submitting their resume to ATS systems, to Indeed jobs and things like that. And they're not doing the research. They're not taking the initiative. They're not picking up the phone. The phone is your best friend. I don't care how, I know we all text and we live in this age of digital media and everything is digital. Human touch will beat out a digital presence every single time. And so if as a recruiter or as a hiring manager, and some may disagree with me, I don't understand why, but if you do my job for me and you are a perfect fit and you call me and you tell me why, you've done the research to find my phone number, to find my email address, you reach out to me and say, hey, I'm a great fit for this role and this is why, you're moving to the top of the list and you're going to get a call back from me. So the greatest piece of advice is not only research the organization, research the job, understand the role, not completely, but understand what that job description says on it, and then make sure that you have tailored not only your speaking points and your talking points, but that resume specific to that pain point, right? Once you do those things, I think you're going to see your job search completely turn around. If you start doing the research and reaching out to these hiring authorities, whether it's a recruiter or a direct hiring manager, I think that's going to change things for you. I would guarantee you that it's going to change things for you.
Todd, thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure getting to do this and spend some more time with you. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
We are going to have to do it again. If you heard anything, I heard several times, and I made a note, actually, take the initiative. 3 words, take the initiative. We're going to steal it for a post on social media. Thank you, Todd. And it's certainly something that we should incorporate into everything we do. And I think that's just so valuable to pass along and to remind people to take that initiative. And it's going to help in their process. So really appreciate it. Really appreciate the conversation, as I always do. And of course, would love to have you back at any point when you want to share some more info. Is there anything else you'd like to share about CIBR Warriors or anything else right now?
Yeah, CIBR Warriors is always hiring. As I said earlier, we've definitely opened up kind of our competency, and working on some other skill sets and stuff like that. But we will always support the IT and the technology and the cybersecurity industry. Check out our website. That's another thing I would say to everyone looking right now, everybody on this call. If you're looking for a job, cyberwarriors.com. Check. We always keep our jobs posted and current, and we're always looking for good candidates. If we don't have a job open, feel free to email it to me, todd.mankin@cibr.com, and that's CIBR.com. I will absolutely get that in the hands of the right people, and we proactively farm resumes out to clients that may be looking for someone like that. So look forward to hearing from some of the folks today, and look forward to walking through that career step process with you. And again, thanks for having me.
Beautiful. We shared the website. We also shared Todd's LinkedIn. Go check him out on LinkedIn. Of course, connect with him, and you can find him there as well. So, folks, thank you so much for spending time with us today on your Friday. It's a beautiful day here in North Carolina. I hope it's a beautiful day in Texas, Todd, and elsewhere as well.
A little rainy today, but I'll take it.
All right, that works. Everyone have a great weekend. We will be here same time, same place next week. And until then, enjoy. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.